So I watched Outsider. I liked it a lot better than I thought I would. First of all, just the look and just visually, it's a great looking film with a really distinct style. So the way they have a very muted color palette and lighting, it's very dim, the settings, and then you pair that with every character as part of this gang is always dressed in the black suits, the white, and then it almost has like a black and white vibe. And then you have the limos that they're always driving, so it just creates a very distinctive look and also gives the sense of them really being part of a team and almost all clones of each other at one point. They all have the same hair color, the same haircut, the same body type, the same black ties. So very different than other gangster movies I've seen where you felt like there was a bit more personality and differences. No, this really drove home the fact that no, this is an organization rather than a bunch of distinct charismatic individuals. And Jared Leto, I thought he was perfect. Now, a lot of critics are saying he was kind of blank and expressionless and boring, just a void at the center of the film. I completely saw it differently. I think he was very quiet and respectful and humble, but also very sharp and ruthless and deadly. And that's the perfect kind of person who would be able to, as an outsider, climb the ranks in a gang. It wouldn't be someone who had a distinct personality and had ambition and was very outgoing. No, it would be this kind of very quiet, respectful person who could also be very ruthless and get the job done. He reminded me a lot of Al Pacino in The Godfather. It reminded me a little bit of Michael Fassbender in the Alien movies as an android. Now, people are saying, and he has some great chilling interactions with people, just his eye contact. So I was surprised by how much I liked his performance. Now, for people saying he's a white savior, there's one scene where he's getting initiated into the gang and he walks and everyone's standing there and they all have their heads bowed. And people are saying, well, because he's white and they're Asian, it's just inherently bad optics. And you can say, yeah, that's fine, but you got to look in the context of the full movie. That was just one scene, so they're just cherry picking that one scene and not looking at all the other interactions and scenes in the movie, including one in which Jared Leto chops his own finger off, two fingers off, and then bows to an Asian person. So there were lots of optics. Just because there was one maybe not ideal image, I don't think you could say it's a white savior movie, because towards the very end of the movie, there's a scene where Jared Leto, he is sent away from the room. They say any foreigners have to leave, only pure-blooded Japanese, and him and the other white guy, slink away and let the adults talk. So it wasn't like he as a white guy was able to dominate this culture and rise up. No, he was able to gain a base level of acceptance and dignity through strict adherence to traditions, including slicing his own fingers off. And that finger slicing scene, it sounds kind of silly, but I thought it was handled so well, especially the elements like you can't just lop it off. You've got to cut it off you got to cut your own finger off with this grace and delicacy and this fine technique. And then the boss just watching impassively, not even reacting, and then you have to bow. And again, the humility after doing this is not enough that you cut your finger off. You've got to bow and show respect as well. So just a fantastic scene. And I thought there was some great gangster movie violence that's very different than action hero movie violence or superhero violence. It's brief, but it's also very brutal and realistic. Some great gore and blood and real stakes and consequences. Again, it's not this spectacle. It doesn't go on for a long time. It's very short and very jarring and very scary. And there's some great gangster intimidation moments, some great lines of dialogue. They're very bone-chilling. And I think gangster movies, they should be scary because it is scary. This is a real thing that exists in our world, and it's one of the scariest elements of our world. So I think when a gangster movie doesn't scare you a little bit, it's doing something wrong. And I thought they did a really cool scene where you see the sumo wrestlers and some of the gangsters are in the crowd, and you see the sumo, and it's very stylized and aesthetic, but also you see just the violence and the brutality of them going head to head and the violence inherent in it. And then in the crowd, they're having their discussion and they're kind of going back and forth, cat and mouse, the gangsters. So it was a great pairing of those elements. And I'll talk about kind of spoilers. Like, it's not really that much of a spoiler, but I am going to talk about what happens towards the end of the movie. So if you don't want to spoil, don't watch. Now, first of all, there's a great Godfather type scene at the end where everyone kind of gets whacked. But a little bit before that, there's the betrayal scene where they're meeting the two rival gangs. And first you see all these men in suits, and they're just standing in a line very impassively, and the two heads of the gangs, they meet and they embrace, and then one starts stabbing the other in the back. And it's a little on the nose, but it really works. And he's stabbing him over and over in the back, and then it flashes back to those men in suits, and they haven't moved an inch, and they're just standing impassively like they always have. So I just thought it was a great scene. Again, a little corny, but I thought they pulled it off. So this is a way better movie than critics are giving it credit for. If you are the type of person who's going to watch this, no one who doesn't like who doesn't just want a good old fashioned gangster movie is going to want to watch this. But if you're someone who likes those kind of movies, who likes that genre, I think you'll like this movie a lot. It's not a great movie. It's not a perfect movie, but it's definitely a good movie. Don't. It's not 1 out of 10 like some critics are giving. So if you like gangster movies, give it a go.